All right, we're diving into a really interesting one today, prepping for a big meeting on content filtering for the St. Vrain Valley School District in Colorado, and that is a challenge, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking huge numbers here. 33,000 students, at least 60 schools and programs, a massive area, 411 square miles.
Yeah, a lot of ground to cover.
Yeah, and to make things even more interesting, it looks like you're considering working with a firm outside the U.S. for this project, so that adds another layer of complexity to it all.
Yeah, definitely.
But before we even get into that, I think we need to unpack the RFP itself.
Great. Right.
RFP number 2025-040, and it looks like they want the whole thing up and running by August 15th, 2025.
Oh,
So,
wow.
yeah, not a lot of time.
No, that's a very tight timeline.
Yeah, they want a complete AI-powered content filtering solution across all their devices. And we're talking over 40,000 devices, so this is a big undertaking.
Yeah, it's a huge undertaking.
And they even want a proof of concept within 30 days of awarding the contract, so the clock is definitely ticking.
It is, that's for sure. It really highlights the need for a solution that's not just effective, but also easy to implement and can handle those ambitious growth plans.
Well, that's the thing that really stood out to me when I was looking at this is that they really want a solution that can scale with them because they're talking about new buildings, so they know this is only going to get bigger.
Absolutely.
So let's dive into some of the specifics here. They're looking for cloud-based, multi-tenant.
Makes sense.
Yeah, no surprise there. But the list of must-haves is extensive.
It is.
We're talking DNS filtering, HTTPS decryption, real-time categorization. They even want VPN and proxy blocking, so they're trying to cover all the bases here.
It sounds like they're trying to build a digital fortress.
Yeah, they really are.
But beyond just those technical features, though, they are really focused on compliance with all the relevant laws and regulations.
Oh, yeah.
We're talking FERPA, COPPA, SEPA, GDPR, Section 508, and even Colorado's own HB 211110.
I mean, it's a lot to keep track of.
It is. It's a real regulatory maze.
But here's what I find really interesting, the nice-to-haves.
Yeah.
This is where you start to get a glimpse into sort of their vision for the future. And they're asking for things like API and webhook integration, AI risk detection, customizable block messages. They really want a system that's not just reactive. They want something that's proactive.
Yes, they're thinking ahead. They're not just checking boxes. They're looking for a partner who can help them create a safe and supportive digital learning environment.
And one that can evolve with the times, because as we all know, this stuff is constantly changing.
Absolutely. And that's a tall order to fill.
It is, yeah. So you mentioned earlier the whole international firm thing, and the RFP does lay out some very specific challenges for companies outside the U.S. to work with the district.
Yes.
For starters, the main contractor needs to have a U.S. office and a bank account. So.
Right. And that's really just the beginning.
Oh, really? Okay.
Subcontractors also need to fully comply with U.S. laws, and anybody working on district property needs to pass a background check.
So there's a lot of layers to this.
There is a lot of due diligence to be done.
Yeah, and it sounds like even the way they subcontract needs to be approved by the district. So.
Yes. It's quite a process.
Yeah, a lot of hoops to jump through. So what are options for international firms looking to navigate all of this?
Well, there are a few paths they could take, and one common approach is subcontracting with a U.S.-based prime contractor.
Ah, so if you can't beat them, join them.
Exactly. It's like teaming up with a local expert who already has that existing infrastructure and compliance framework in place.
Makes sense. Makes sense. What are some other options?
Well, they could establish a U.S. subsidiary or even form a joint venture with a U.S. company or work through a U.S. distributor or reseller. Each of these options has its own pros and cons in terms of control, compliance, and financial implications.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, now let's shift gears a bit because it looks like you're also grappling with the whole build versus buy dilemma. Custom building a solution versus adapting an existing one. So what are some of the key factors you need to consider when you're weighing those two options?
Well, with that August deadline looming, custom building a solution from scratch is probably out of the question.
Yeah, that's just not enough time.
Right. The development, the testing, the deployment, it
Yeah.
would simply take too long.
Yeah, so realistically, it's going to be about customizing an existing solution.
Most likely, yes.
And the good news is that a lot of the off-the-shelf solutions come with built-in compliance features.
They do, and that can save you a lot of time and headaches, especially given the complexity of those regulations we talked about.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, speaking of existing solutions, I see you've got some pretty deep research on Securely in your stack.
I do.
They seem to be a leading contender in this space. So What is it about Securely that makes them stand out?
Well, they seem like a strong fit for SVVSD's needs, and for a few key reasons. Firstly, they have a solid track record when it comes to compliance with all those tricky regulations, SEPA, FERPA, COPPA, and even those state-specific laws like Colorado HB 211110.
Okay, but compliance is just part of the story, right? Can they actually handle integration with all of the district's existing systems?
Well, that's another area where Securely shines. They offer seamless integration with Google Workspace, Azure AD, and even Palo Alto firewalls.
Which I think was one of their nice-to-haves, if I remember correctly.
You remember correctly.
Okay, so they tick the compliance box, they tick the integration box. What about the actual filtering features? Can they deliver on that front?
Oh, absolutely. Securely takes a multi-layered approach. They combine DNS filtering, SSL inspection, and safe search enforcement. Plus, they've got some pretty robust circumvention prevention measures in place, including that VPN and proxy blocking that the district wants.
Yeah, they're really trying to stay one step ahead of those tech-savvy students. Yeah. One thing that really stood out to me in your research was their AI-powered scanning for emerging threats.
Oh, yes.
So they're not just trying to block known bad sites, they're actually using AI to identify new risks as they pop up, which is
Pretty impressive.
it's pretty cool.
It is. They're going beyond basic filtering and using AI to adapt to the ever-changing landscape of online threats.
Yeah, and when we go back to those nice-to-haves, Securely ticks a lot of those boxes too.
That's right.
So give me some examples. Like what else are they doing that's sort of above and beyond?
Well, they offer customizable block messages, which means the district can provide specific instructions or resources to students when content is blocked,
Oh, okay.
instead of just seeing a generic error message.
Right.
They also offer granular YouTube filtering so they can whitelist educational channels while restricting access to others.
It's a good one.
And their reporting and monitoring system is very robust.
Yeah, so it's not just about blocking, it's about understanding how students are using the internet. Okay, so let's talk about the financial side of things. How does Securely handle costs and licensing?
Well, they use a per-student licensing model, pretty standard in the K-12 world, and because it's a cloud-based solution, there's no hardware cost to worry about.
Ah, that's a good point.
They offer flexible bundle options as well, so the district can choose the features they need.
And going back to that point about scalability with those ambitious growth plans, can Securely keep up with them as they expand?
Well, that's another advantage, that cloud-based architecture. Securely can easily handle those 30,000 plus devices, and as the district grows, the system can seamlessly scale to accommodate the increased load.
So they're not just getting a solution for today, they're investing in a platform that can grow with them.
Okay, let's get down to brass tacks here. How do we actually make this happen? And I see you've got some notes on implementation strategies and team structure, so it looks like you're already thinking ahead. Implementation is crucial. A smooth rollout involves careful planning, configuration, testing, deployment, training, and ongoing support.
It's not just flipping a switch.
Definitely not.
You've even outlined a potential team structure, I see.
Yeah, well, having the right people in place is key.
Yeah, and the proposed structure includes both on-site and remote teams, each with specific areas of expertise. So we're talking project management, network administration, cloud security, technical support. It takes a village.
It does take a village. And you'll notice I highlighted the potential for leveraging international expertise for certain tasks such as, cloud security or software engineering.
Yeah, that's an interesting angle.
It's about finding the most efficient and effective way to get the job done right,
For sure.
tapping into that global talent pool.
Okay, so we've got the solution, we've got the team. What about the bottom line? What's the estimated cost for all of this?
Based on the proposed team structure and the scope of the project, the overall cost is estimated to be around $80,000.
That's a significant investment. But when you consider the importance of online safety for literally thousands of students, it starts to look like a pretty wise decision.
It does. It's an investment in the future of the district's digital learning environment.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, now implementing a solution is one thing, but ensuring its long-term success is a whole other challenge. And that brings us to the topic of partnerships.
Yes, partnerships are essential for a project like this. Choosing the right partners can make or break the whole thing.
And you've got a lot of options to choose from, it looks like. You've got lists of potential prime contractors, companies who have expressed interest.
I do. A lot of research has gone into this.
So how do you sort through all of that and find the right partner? Because it's about more than just, ticking boxes on a checklist, right?
Absolutely. It's about finding a partner who truly understands the district's unique needs, and is fully committed to their success, building a relationship based on trust and collaboration.
I also noticed you've got a step-by-step guide for supporting bidders and even some potential service offerings for them, so that's an interesting approach.
It is. It's a strategic move.
Yeah, so tell me about that. Why go that route?
By offering valuable support services, you could potentially generate revenue while also fostering stronger relationships with potential partners. It's a win-win situation.
It is a win-win. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground. We've looked at the RFP itself. We've talked about the challenges and opportunities of international collaboration, the strengths of Securely as a potential solution, the implementation strategy, the importance of partnerships. What's next on our agenda?
The final hurdle, submitting that winning RFP response.
Ah, yes, the moment of truth. And you've got a pretty comprehensive checklist to make sure that submission is flawless. It covers everything from compliance to technical details, cost proposals, references. Talk about thorough.
It's better to be safe than sorry. A meticulously crafted submission can make all the difference.
Okay, so let's walk through it. What are the absolute must-haves in this submission?
First and foremost, compliance.
Oh, yeah.
You absolutely have to demonstrate how your solution meets those, alphabet soup regulations that we keep talking about. SIPA FERPA COPPA, Colorado, HB 21-1110. The district is laser focused on student data privacy and online safety, so this is non-negotiable.
So it's not enough to just say you're compliant. You've got to...
Show me the receipts.
Yeah, show them the proof. What kind of documentation are we talking about?
Think detailed policies, compliance reports, maybe even third-party certifications. You want to leave no room for doubt in their minds.
Okay, so compliance is covered. What's next on the checklist?
Technical details. The district needs to understand exactly how the solution works, its architecture, the implementation plan, security measures. You know they're entrusting you with the online safety of thousands of students. It's about showing them that you've thought through every detail.
Yeah, it's like building a house, right?
Yeah.
You need a strong foundation, and that's what these technical details provide. And of course, you can't forget the cost proposal. The district needs to see a complete breakdown of all the costs involved, licensing, implementation, support, training. No hidden surprises.
Transparency is key.
Speaking of transparency, references are like gold in these submissions.
Yes.
Examples of similar successful projects, particularly within the K-12 space, that can really demonstrate your ability to deliver. It's like a resume for your solution.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Showcase your experience and expertise. And don't forget the proof of concept.
A
chance to showcase your solution in action.
Wow.
Then prove that your solution can meet their specific needs.
Yeah, it's a high-stakes presentation, but it's also a fantastic opportunity to really shine. Okay, so now let's talk about some potential pitfalls, the RFP don'ts, if you will.
Right.
We've already touched on one, unauthorized contact. Don't try to bypass the designated communication channels that are outlined in the RFP.
Yeah.
No backroom deals. What other traps should we watch out for?
Don't be generic. You really want to tailor your response to the district's needs and priorities. Show them that you've done your homework, that you understand their challenges. And presentation matters.
Oh, yeah.
A poorly formatted, visually unappealing proposal. It's like showing up to a job interview in sweatpants.
Yikes. Yeah, don't want to do that. Okay, so we've got the essentials, the pitfalls covered now. Before we move on to that final stage of submission, I want to take a step back and revisit compliance for a moment, because we've talked about all these different regulations, but what does that actually mean for an international firm? What hurdles do they need to clear?
One key requirement is demonstrating compliance with U.S. cybersecurity laws like FERPA, SUPA, and even FISMA. These laws dictate how student data can be collected, stored, used, and protected. So it's not just about filtering content, it's about ensuring the privacy and security of sensitive information.
And how do international firms prove that they meet these U.S. standards? Are we talking audits, certifications? Like, what does that look like in practice?
It can involve a combination of approaches. Third-party audits, certifications like SOC2, detailed documentation of their data handling practices all demonstrate their commitment to security and compliance.
So it's a real trust-building exercise.
It is.
Yeah, showing the district that they're taking these requirements seriously.
Okay.
We talked earlier about different collaboration models for international firms, particularly subcontracting with a U.S. prime contractor. What makes a solid subcontracting agreement in this scenario?
A strong subcontracting agreement needs to clearly outline the roles, responsibilities, and deliverables for both parties. Specify the scope of work, payment terms, liability, and of course those compliance obligations.
Yeah.
Clear expectations from the start will really help things run smoothly.
It's like a roadmap for collaboration. Now, we've spent a good amount of time talking about Securely, but are there any other content filtering solutions out there that could be a good fit for SVVSD? I mean, the district should explore all their options, right?
Yeah, absolutely. There are several other players in the K-12 content filtering space that might be worth considering. Companies like GoGuardian, Lightspeed Systems, and Cisco Umbrella all offer robust solutions, each with their own unique strengths.
So what are some of the key differences between these solutions, and Securely, what sets them apart?
Well, GoGuardian is known for its strong classroom management features and its focus on student safety. They offer tools that allow teachers to monitor student screens in real time, block distracting websites, and even detect potential signs of cyberbullying or self-harm.
So it goes beyond content filtering into a more positive, supportive online environment.
Exactly.
That's pretty impressive. What about Lightspeed Systems?
Lightspeed Systems has built a reputation for its ease of use and comprehensive reporting capabilities. Their solution is designed to be intuitive for both IT administrators and teachers.
And I imagine that that's a huge plus because you don't want to have to spend all your time training people how to use it.
Exactly. Needs to be user-friendly.
Yeah. All right, so Lightspeed is easy to use, great reporting. What about Cisco Umbrella?
Cisco Umbrella takes a more network-centric approach to content filtering. Their solution operates at the DNS level, providing protection for both on-network and off-network devices. They're also known for their strong integration with other Cisco security products.
Yeah, so if a district is already heavily invested in Cisco, it might make sense to go with Umbrella.
Exactly.
Okay, so it seems like each solution has its own unique strengths.
They do.
And it really comes down to what best aligns with the district's needs and priorities. Now let's revisit that proposed team structure for a moment. We've got roles like project manager, network administrator, systems engineer, who are the key players on the international side, assuming you go with that option.
On the international side, key roles could include a cloud security specialist, responsible for ensuring the solution meets all those U.S. compliance requirements, and a technical support engineer, providing remote assistance and troubleshooting.
And what about development? Because remember, some customization might be needed to integrate with the district's existing systems.
You're right, a skilled software engineer could handle those API integrations, webhooks, and any other custom development work. And let's not forget about quality assurance. A dedicated QA and compliance tester would be essential.
Okay, so it sounds like a truly global team effort.
It is.
Combining local expertise with these specialized skills from around the world. We discussed earlier the potential for generating revenue by offering support services to bidders. What are some of those high-demand services?
Bid strategy consulting, helping bidders develop a winning approach tailored to the specific RFP.
So it's like you're a storytelling consultant,
Exactly.
helping them craft the perfect pitch. What else?
Proposal writing and review, compliance checks, financial proposal assistance, and finally, presentation coaching.
So it's a comprehensive suite of services covering everything from strategy to execution. But how do you actually connect with potential bidders and turn those services into revenue? It's about more than just having a great service to offer, right?
It all comes down to strategic outreach and relationship building. Building a strong network and nurturing those relationships.
It's about being a trusted advisor, someone they can rely on for guidance and support. CRM systems are a great tool for managing all of that.
Absolutely.
Keeping track of your contacts, your interactions, identifying those opportunities. Now, before we wrap up this section, I want to touch on something we haven't discussed yet, the human element of content filtering. We've talked a lot about the technical aspects, but what about the people involved?
That's a great point. Technology is only part of the solution. Creating a truly safe and supportive online environment also requires education, awareness, and open communication.
We can't just rely on filters to do all the work, right?
Exactly. It's about empowering students to become responsible digital citizens, teaching them about online safety, responsible social media use.
It's about giving them the tools and the knowledge they need to navigate this digital world safely and responsibly. And that's where teachers, parents, the wider community all come in. It's a collective effort.
Absolutely. Technology can provide the tools, but it's up to us to guide and support our students as they navigate the complexities of the online world.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground in this segment. Compliance hurdles for international firms, alternative content filtering solutions, team structures, potential revenue streams, even the human side of content filtering. Now it's time to move on to the final stage, submitting that winning RFP response. Stay tuned for part 3, where we'll break down those all-important do's and don'ts and share some final thoughts on the future of content filtering. And we are back for the final part of our deep dive into content filtering for the St. Vrain Valley School District. And we've done it all right. We've looked at the RFP, we've explored the solutions, the ins and outs of working with international firms, potential revenue streams, and now it all comes down to this putting together that perfect RFP response.
It's the moment of truth, the culmination of all your hard work and research.
So we talked about the must-haves, compliance, technical details, cost proposals, references. What about the don'ts? What are some common pitfalls to avoid?
One we touched on earlier, unauthorized contact. Don't try to circumvent those official communication channels.
Yeah, no backdoor deals.
It might seem tempting to get a leg up, but trust me, it's not worth jeopardizing your entire bid.
What else should we watch out for?
Don't fall into the trap of using a generic one-size-fits-all response. Really tailor your submission to their specific needs and priorities. Show them you've done your research, that you understand their unique challenges.
Yeah, it's about building that connection, showing them that you're not just another vendor, but a potential partner.
Exactly. And don't underestimate the power of presentation.
Oh, yeah.
A poorly formatted or visually unappealing proposal can really make a bad first impression. This is your chance to wow them. Make sure your proposal is clear, concise, and visually engaging.
Yeah, it's like they say you never get a second chance to make a first impression. All right, so we've covered the do's and don'ts of RFP submission. Any final words of wisdom as you prepare to submit that winning bid?
In today's digital world, content filtering is about so much more than just blocking websites. It's about creating a safe, secure, and supportive learning environment where students can truly thrive. It's about empowering them to be responsible digital citizens equipped to navigate the complexities of the online world.
And what role can our listener play in all of this?
How can you foster open communication with students, teachers, and parents about online safety? How can you promote digital citizenship education and create that culture of responsible technology use? These are the questions that are going to shape the future of digital learning.
It's not just about the tech, it's about the people. It's about the community. It's a much bigger conversation.
Well said. Well, we've reached the end of our content filtering deep dive. We've dissected the RFP, explored potential solutions, tackled compliance hurdles, even brainstormed ways to leverage your expertise to support bidders. We hope you feel ready to not just submit a winning RFP response, but to truly make a difference.
We've covered a lot of ground, but it's all about empowering students, and that's a mission worth pursuing. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.